Hi, everybody. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I am. Today is Monday, the day before Super Tuesday, and I am so excited tonight. We're going to have some special guests coming on, and I cannot wait until you guys get a chance to meet everyone. But we're going to put you on a quick little pause and we're going to get started. And I hope you guys are ready for tonight. So hang back and enjoy. Well, hello, everyone. I know it's been a minute since the last time that I was on here with you guys. I am so excited about tonight. It's been a whole year since we have been with Let's Talk About It, Steph, and it has been a wonderful year being on air. I tell you, it's so many things have happened, and we have experienced a lot of things together. Well, today we're going to be having some special guests that's going to be coming on tonight, and we're going to be able to have them to talk about why are they running for office. So we're going to get an opportunity to talk to each one of them, and you can jump on and ask questions. So let's make sure that we be nice to them. So I'm going to go ahead and start with one of my favorite people. Sebastian is in the building. We're going to bring Sebastian up. And oh, we got Ernest. So we got people that's gonna be on here with us tonight. So y'all be nice, okay? Know the rules. All right.
Hi, how
Sebastian,
you
how are
doing, Stephanie?
you?
Thank you for having me. I'm just doing great. I just got off work, so sorry I'm in the car. Um, can you guys still hear me? It looks like it cut out. Okay. Uh, I'm running for House District 12. It was Kate Granger's seat. I am a former veteran, and I'm running because we need to bring real representation to Congress. We need more working class families, working class citizens to step up to the position and run against these, bought out politicians that don't take their oath of office seriously, which is, as somebody who has sworn the oath to protect the defend the U.S. Constitution, I take it very seriously, and I can't just sit by idly watching them drag it all over the floor and overstep the government boundaries and disregard the Constitution. So that is like the reason why I'm like so behind like running is it is 100% we need people that have leadership skills. We need people that have life experiences. We need people that are from the community, from working class, that understand what it's like to work two jobs, to put food on the table, what it's like to live the the daily struggles, or like me sit in traffic, for an hour because we have the lack of infrastructure here in Texas 12. Um, those are the reasons. But my three big things I'm campaigning on is education. We absolutely need to reform education. Our teachers need to get paid better. We don't need to be banning books. We need to be teaching our children and exposing them to as many things as we can in terms of the education system, getting better at math and science, reading levels. We're really behind with the rest of the world, and that's a threat in itself, not only to to the U.S., but our adversaries have a better education system than us. So that, talking, in a foreign policy perspective, landscaping, that puts us at risk, when we're starting to compare ourselves to the rest of the world. So I think education is something we need to do a lot better in. Healthcare, I think that's a right. It's a human right. It's not something you shouldn't have. I know individuals that don't have insurance and can't afford to have insurance, and can't go to the doctor to get seen for medical issues that they need to get addressed. And it's very unfortunate to see people struggle with those types, of situations where, you have a medical condition and you can't even get seen for it, because you're fearing how much it's going to cost out of pocket. So I do believe in some sort of, universal healthcare. Expanding Medicaid and Medicare is definitely something we need to do, and work the Affordable Care Act into something that could be maybe more towards like universal health insurance and something like that. And then my last one is to country. It's the most on issue. But I honestly believe that we should be working with Mexico to address the humanitarian crisis at the border. It has gotten out of control, and we do need to act on it. Both sides have not done a very good job at addressing it, and it has only gotten worse. And so we need to bring more money, bring more resources, and reform the entire immigration system to create a better way for people to get, their asylum processed faster than waiting, years on end, to find out, whether or not they're going to be able to stay or not. So I think that we have a lot of room for opportunities to grow in that area, and we have opportunity to work with Mexico. And as somebody who's grown up on both sides of the country, both in Mexico and in the U.S., I know Mexico would be more than happy to work with the U.S. if we just didn't bash them so much and actually, worked towards finding a solution on both sides of the border, because they don't want drugs and they don't want drug cartels either. So believe me, they're already acting on that, and it's both countries could benefit from a relationship working together. So I think that's something I could do. Being elected into Congress, I think I can, start those conversations. But
Okay, that's amazing. Well, we're gonna go ahead and hold you back just a second, and then we'll do a Q&A. We're gonna have Mr. Ernest up. So if you have questions, please ask, because you know what? We're gonna get this message out, because tomorrow is our big day, and we got to get these folks out to go vote tomorrow, because hey, their votes matter, and we need
absolutely,
those votes. So hang tight, Sebastian.
absolutely.
Ernest, you up?
Okay. Hey, well, thank you so much, Stephanie, for inviting me to this. This is just awesome. Just a little about me. I was the youngest in a family of 6, and we traveled a lot. So I've been places. I've lived in North Carolina and the Philippines and San Diego, California, and Annapolis, Maryland, and Virginia Beach, Virginia, and Italy, and then back to North Carolina. And then we moved to Hawaii, and then back to California. And a year after that, I finally got into the 8th grade, all that moving just to get there. And that was the first time I went to school for the 2nd year. So we moved a lot. And if anybody has moved that's listening to this, one of the things you want to do is find like your church home. You want to get anchored in your new community. Well, we never had to do that, because my dad was a United States Navy chaplain and a Lutheran minister. So the church kind of always went with us. And all those years of being in that family and listening to my dad preach, I got a pretty good feeling for what this Christianity thing is about. And the main thing to me is love your neighbor, and we're all neighbors. There's love God in there too. That's pretty important. But I never got from that force your religion on anybody else. I never got a lot of the things that you hear attributed to evangelical Christians. My religion is an evangelical Christian. It's let's see, it's the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America is my base religion. But anyway, all that just to say is that feeds a lot of my beliefs and why I'm here. The other thing, as Sebastian was talking about, is the U.S. Constitution. After my time in that original family, I went off to college and I got a bachelor's of science in aerospace engineering with the benefit of a Navy ROTC scholarship. I know I have benefited quite a bit, been helped along the way many times by different people in my life. And ROTC scholarship was just awesome, not having a lot of college debt and able to go to a good school. But so then I had a job, a United States naval officer, and I chose to go into surface ship Navy nuclear power. So I was on multiple warships, including the USS Nimitz, an aircraft carrier, a lot of exciting times, and went through a lot of doing things. Ended up picking up 2 different master's degrees in physics, but then retired in 1995. And I was pretty excited to get picked up by Texas Instruments. And so I've been here working in the Dallas area at Texas Instruments for the last 28 years. And I vote, I go, I keep up with things. And over the last few years, I was actually meeting some of the candidates, and it's pretty cool getting to know some of the people that are running for office, thinking, hey, I might even actually, know somebody who's going up to Washington or going to Austin. I think that'd be cool. But as I got to know what was going on last year, and then we had some redistricting because of the census and everything, turned out the people I knew that I was going to be able to vote for ended up in a different district. And when I went to vote, I could vote for the Republican or no one. And I'm not against Republicans. I mean, I think they're great people, but some of the things they get behind are not the things I believe in. So what are some of those things? I want to get the country back to business. Like in a company, you wouldn't put up with all this bickering and fighting and not having a budget for multiple years. So I think we need to at least have a budget, and then we can see where we are. Our current debt is like $36 trillion. We can't just go from continuing resolution to continuing resolution and not have a plan. Every family knows you have to have a budget. You have to, decide, what are you going to pay? What are you going to buy? How much Christmas can we have this year? Can we afford to upgrade the house or not? All these different things. You have to have a budget and know what's going on. So that's a very big one for me. And that includes being there for our allies. I've heard President Trump be pretty harsh on some allies if they didn't make sure they spent 2% of their gross domestic product on their defense budget to support NATO. Bad things were going to happen. Well, we have to be there to support our allies as well. And there's a lot of different types of allies. There's business allies, people that are forming just a trade agreement that you're going to work with them on good terms. And then, but of course, we have NATO and other protective allies. And it, as a naval officer, it just really, I just don't understand how you can have a country you're supporting, like Ukraine, and then you say, well, let us decide. I know you've needed this extra ammunition and these other funds since like last October, and it's already March. I know there's people shooting at you. Can you just hold on a little while longer while we think about it? No. You have to be there for your allies. They have to be able to trust you and count on you. And those are the big business things that I want to support. The next major category is people's rights. I mean, it wasn't too long ago that my Republican friends were screaming about smaller government and stay out of my business and all this other kind of stuff. But what they meant was just turn your back while I do what I want to do with my company or something. They didn't want to. Anyway, we got to reinforce people's rights. Absolutely, a woman's right to choose her own health care and reproductive rights and all this stuff. Definitely that. But how about the right not to have teenagers walking up and down your street with guns? I think that's pretty important. Safe neighborhoods and stuff. And there's a whole lot more rights, but that's like the second category. And then economic balance. Economic balance. Why do we have some people, maybe a small percentage of people, but still some people with billions and billions of dollars, and they just arguing over who's got the most billions and whatever. And then we have some people who can't afford a home. They're living on the street. And then a few people just a little bit higher than that, or maybe, they've got a home, but they don't know if they're going to pay their medicine bill, or are they going to buy groceries, or are they going to feed the kids every other night or something? I think everybody that works, if you're working a job, you should have a living wage. Texas with $7.25 minimum wage, that might be fine if like you're a young kid and you just need a little gas money or something. But I think people are working to live nowadays, and we need to do something for economic balance. Part of that, there's a lot of talk about reimbursing some people's student loans or helping them out with their student loans. Part of that is having a serious conversation with universities around the country. What on earth are they doing raising prices 20% per year for like the last 40 years? That makes no sense. They get these, you hear about these big endowments that come to the campuses and whatever. I'm sure they have accounting and finance departments that they can learn to manage their money much better. Well, I don't know what the signal is if I've overstayed my time, but I've talked quite a bit. I can keep going, or we can take a break. What do you think, Stephanie?
Hey, you know what? I just enjoy you both being on here, because tomorrow is definitely a big day. And whoever we have that's out there listening, they have an opportunity to hear from you guys. You just never know who's on here and who's listening to Let's Talk About It, Steph, because that's what we're here about. We're going to talk about some things. And we have a special guest, Calvin, is on here. He is one of your constituents out here, and he is eager to talk to y'all. So hold tight. Let's get Calvin on here.
Hello.
Hi, Calvin. Do you have any questions?
Oh, sorry, I was muted.
Okay,
Hey, my
there
name
you
is
go.
Calvin.
You're
It's nice
good
to see you
now.
guys.
So what questions do you have?
Well, I guess my questions are: what are the main goals that you wish to achieve if you were to, get your seat?
Absolutely. Well, I can jump in there. I was kind of just talking about them. You know what? Maybe my number one goal would be, I can't guarantee what legislation I would push back, but for me, I want to treat everyone with a smile and respect. I don't care if you're any of those names we know about that are on the TV with their funny personalities and their ridiculous quotes. I want to, thank them for their service in the Congress, and see if there's anything we can agree on. Can we talk about maybe the air? We all breathe air. Is there something we can do take care of that? But just really try to improve the decorum and the civility. And I think that spreads out to the rest of our life. I know wherever I go, whether I'm at a restaurant or a grocery store or something, I try to smile and talk to the person that's helping me. Sometimes I feel helpless, and like maybe you're going to a hardware store or something and somebody to help you find something. No matter who somebody is, you don't know what their day's been like, whatever. Even on the freeway, somebody cuts you off. Maybe they're in a real hurry to get somebody to the hospital or go meet somebody that's had an emergencies at the hospital. I don't know. All I'm saying is improve the decorum. I could go back to talking about the budget and people's rights and everything else. But I think if we make it to where a lot of people's first answer is, I'm going to say nasty things to you on the internet, and I'm going to, my gun's bigger than your gun, and let's go have a shootout, or, getting away from those kind of things, I think is important for the American psyche.
Okay, I see. Well, I also have another question. So, I know you said you were a veteran. You're affiliated with military. What are your current opinions on the military budget? Do you think we should increase it or decrease it?
So that is a very good question, and I think we definitely need to protect the right parts of the military. I have not studied the military budget, but I do know we have $36 trillion of debt. Something I meant to Google, and I have to apologize, I did not, is what is the interest on our national debt per year? Because just having a balanced budget, that doesn't balance it. We have to pull the budget down by the interest we're paying on the debt to not get worse than this $36 trillion. So I think everything has to come down a little bit, but okay, and this is a total cliche with a Democrat going to talk about taxes. I apologize, but people need to pay their fair share. When the Republicans came out with their 2017 tax cut, they might have given households a couple $1,000s, maybe up to $10,000 over a few years, if you added it up from each of the years. But that's going to help you a little bit. I mean, if you manage to not just spend it on Christmas or something, that's going to help you a little bit to manage your budget. But the companies, the biggest companies, got the benefit of hundreds of millions of dollars every year. Okay, that's a big number. Hundreds of millions of dollars every year. Their taxes went down. And I'm not even taking the full percentage. I'm saying if that's only like 6 or 7% lower taxes from what they would have paid by cutting some things in half a couple times. So it was worse than that. So I think corporations need to pay their fair share. I think rich people need to pay their fair share. I know I need to pay my fair share. A good chunk comes out of mine, and I salute it as it goes by and say, do some good. But anyway, we need to balance the budget and start bringing the national debt down. Defense is so important, and we need to spend it smartly. I know when I was in the Navy, we had a lot of nuclear powered ships, and they were expensive. And the cruisers got taken out of service and replaced with less expensive gas turbine models. The aircraft carriers are so large, it makes a lot of sense to keep those nuclear power because they use so much energy. So there's things like that already have been done. There's more that we can do. Working with our allies. If we end up on the wrong side of this and we try to be isolationist, there's no way we can afford enough defense to keep us safe. If we work with our allies, and we've got new countries in NATO now, Sweden and Finland, I believe, and they're bringing their military defense capability as well. I think together we're stronger, and we can afford to balance the budget. Are these answers too long, Calvin? You can tell me to talk less.
I'm getting the points that you're making. It actually it made me think of another question. So when you were talking about the economy, do you think that we should actually bring back our jobs into America, because a lot of our money that we send out is just staying into other countries? Would you agree that keeping jobs in America would help America in the long run, or do you think it's more of a short-term thing?
Oh, no. Yes. American jobs are huge. I've actually been endorsed by the Texas AFL-CIO, and all the years that I've been working at Texas Instruments, I've been working to make that company more profitable and capable. And it turns out that TI, this isn't private knowledge or anything, is building in America. TI bought a factory in Nevada, and now they're building a duplicate factory right on that same site, so doubling its size. TI has built a factory right here in Richardson, and they just built a factory actually like 1.2 times as big right next to that. And that size factory, the 1.2 or 1.5 times as big factory that we call our Fab 2, we are quadrupling in Sherman. We're building 4 new of those factories in Sherman. Now, these may not all come online just exactly right away. They're building the buildings and getting them ready to go. The RFab 2 is coming online right now. LFab is online, and I don't know when LFab 2 is going to come online. Those two are the Nevada sites, Levi, Nevada. But I'm huge on American jobs. Now, we only have 3% unemployment right now. That is not a lot of people that need jobs. So we actually need more people that need jobs. There's a lot of companies fighting over people, but that supports raising the wage. And when you raise the wage for people that are working, those people spend that money. They aren't going to just stick it in the 401k. I mean, they might try to save a little money for their child's education or for a rainy day, but most of it is going to go to stuff they need right now. And that means the economy is going to ramp up. We need to work with businesses to make sure they see this coming. We don't want another infant formula disaster where the companies can't keep up with the demand. All that does is feed inflation. So all these things, you need somebody with big picture planning and the capability to reach out and talk to these companies and say, here's what we see coming. Can you build to meet this demand? Because we don't want $80 infant formula bottles. We want them to be the reasonable, good cost. Now, recently we had some inflation that came from people spending the COVID money at the end of COVID. And we need to have some serious conversations with those companies that are still selling you $6 boxes of Cheerios. Hey, that box used to be $3.50. And now it's even a little smaller if you look at the way you've redimensioned it. But can we get back to our $3.50 box of Cheerios? People talk about the price of gas. That's just silly if you ask me. Price has been $3 a gallon for 20 years now, I think. So anyway, okay, Calvin, your turn again.
Okay. I see you have a lot of knowledge and wisdom that you want to spread on these topics. So for my next question, actually, involving the economy. So would you say it would be beneficial for us to allow more, I would say, immigrants to come and claim citizenship to help out these companies that are fighting for, workers? Or would you say that it's best to just keep our Americans working in American companies?
Oh, so what do I think about immigrants working? I think is maybe the way you said that. Number one, we need them. When you look at high tech companies, they are going overseas and finding the people with the skills they need and getting special visas to bring them into the country and help them help our companies.
Okay, so I do have a question about that.
Yeah.
So that branches into the education part. What do you say it would be more beneficial for, let's say, our school systems to put more funding in, let's say, tech, since that seems to be the way civilization's going? Would it be better that we just train the children of the next generation to become, Einsteins on computers, the next Bill Gates, rather than outsourcing?
Yeah, I'm not going to say one's better than the other, but if we're not doing the educating our people, what do we expect? I mean, what's going to happen? With silly things like the arms race and the race to be the best in economics and whatever, you can't just be entitled and say, hey, I'm the American, so I'm the best. And even though the rest of you are smarter or whatever, you're going to work for me. That's not necessarily how it works. If we're going to maintain our position, we have to educate our people. And, I am so embarrassed at the Texas economic budget for education. my Google tells me we are 41st in all the states. And you know what? That's just 41st in the US. Where does the US fit among the other advanced Western democracies or whatever? Not
I
so
believe we
good.
sit at
Yeah,
15
not
or
so.
16, one of those two.
Yeah, it's sad. And so we need to quit arguing over, vouchers for private school or something, and we need to step up these academies. And I don't know I'm not an expert on education. Like I told you when I was my first introduction, I've been to a lot of different schools, and I was so glad. I mean, I wasn't an immigrant. I sort of was, I guess, my job moved my dad, but wherever we went, we were accepted, and I was taught. I know I never, well, anyway, keep going. Yes, we need the immigrants to work. We need them at whatever level they fit in. If they are working, hourly wage kind of jobs, it's not like it used to be where we had 20% unemployment and you get somebody else in there and they're making another family starve. We only have like 3% unemployment. The housing market is tough. We need to do something to provide more housing for people. But I think we have plenty of room for more Americans. If you want to talk about DACA, those people have been Americans for a long time. I know maybe we need to do something to where we're not getting more and more and more and more every year that qualify to be on DACA. But the people who have been on DACA, since the Obama administration, I'm pretty sure they've been working. I'm pretty sure they've been paying taxes. I'm pretty sure they're probably being better citizens than you and me. Okay, maybe not me. Maybe not you either. But anyway, they're probably being pretty good citizens. And, we just need to recognize them as the Americans they are. We do need to do something for the border. We do need to, have a quota of how many we're going to. If our quota is too low right now, we need to raise it. If our asylum, what it takes to claim asylum is too low, maybe we need to raise that. But we need to. The other thing about immigration is working with the countries these people are coming from. Venezuela has had awful internal turmoil, and that's why so many are coming from there. We need to work with either them, not either, them and the countries surrounding them to make it better for people to stay where they are in general. I actually work with a thing called Kiva, where I donate some money every month, and it goes to loans. And these people, they're small loans. They're usually $500, maybe $1,000 to help them with a corn crop or something. And I figure if I can help them with their small loans and then they can help their economy a little better, maybe that'll help slow the migration a little bit because these people can make a go of it where they are. The US government does this with AID money, and there's probably other acronyms I need to learn, but that's all very important. Maybe I skipped around some of your questions, but I think immigrants at every level help us. We do have to be careful of the numbers, and we need to find out what the right numbers are and work towards settling that.
Okay. So what I seem to understand is you're saying it's okay for immigrants to come here, just a limited number of what we need or what we can manage. And also, I'm assuming you're saying supporting the schools to make it to where we can also compete as well.
Absolutely. I spent some time in California, as I mentioned, and we had what was called migrant farm workers. And these people, lived in other countries, but every year they'd come rotate north and help with the farm work. Our farms would not have worked without those people. There's, I guess if you're doing corn or wheat, you can have these great big machines that do all the harvesting for you. But there's a lot of crops, I think like lettuce, artichokes, strawberries, whatever, that the big old machines maybe don't do it quite so well. And you need people out there doing it. And and they would come and they would go and they would come and they would go. And we were really concerned about their living conditions and their wages and that kind of thing. It was important. But, we rely on a lot of migrants to do a lot of things for us. And we need to get away from this us versus them mentality. I think that goes back to kind of the decorum I was talking about. We need to salute them and appreciate them for what they do for us, and make sure we do what's right for them.
Okay, I completely agree with that. Yes.
Okay.
Hey,
Are there
Mr.
any more
Sebastian.
questions? Go ahead.
Do you have any opinions on what was being talked about?
How about you, Stephanie? What do you think about that stuff?
Oh, I have a ton to say. As far as with the
Yeah.
border, I believe that we do need to have a handle on the border. You know, I believe that we do need to know exactly who's coming in. We need to have those checks and balance in place. What's going on in South Texas? I really don't have enough information on it. I know a lot of the medias are out there and they're exploiting things and making it seem worse than what it really is. So I don't know exactly what's going on, but I do know as a United States citizen, I want to know who's in my house. I want to know if they're a threat or not. So I think where we do need to do a better job in securing the border, I think we do need to do a better job in bringing in people that want to come in here legally. We do need to do better by that. So I know that President Biden said that he had a plan in place to fix all of it. And I really was hoping that the other side would want to go ahead and forget about politics and do the right thing for everyone.
Okay, okay. So what about the immigrants that are seeking asylum? Because a lot of them that do come, they actually come from areas that are, riddled with crime, or the government is, well, let's say like the CCP. A lot of Chinese people actually don't like it there. I've actually known some people that came through that were Chinese, and they were saying the reason we love America is because it's not like China. And when what was it? The dictator, the leader of the CCP, when he came to California a few months ago, a lot of the Chinese American citizens were actually objecting that he come because they see how it is over there in their home state. Would you say that it's acceptable for us to allow refugees if they're coming in larger numbers?
So the problem, I'll tell you, the real problem at the border is that it's just the volume versus our current funded capability. Most of the people that are coming across the border are not hiding in the dark ditches and dodging here and dodging there. They're coming across, they're reporting themselves to the border agents, and they're saying, don't get me wrong, there's probably some that mean us harm that are hiding and trying to run away. But most of them are coming across, they're reporting themselves, and they're asking for asylum. Well, this puts the burden on us. We need to find out who are they and what's their claim to asylum. Is it valid? Well, that takes a court, and we only have so many judges and courts that can do it. And right now they have I've heard different numbers, but a 2 to 3 to 6 year backlog to manage that. And I guess we've got a couple different ways we could do. We could just say, we are not taking any more asylum seekers because we've already got a 6 year backlog, and just put them back over the border or something. I'm not saying that's what we want to do, but if we were just to put a little bit more money into the asylum process, then we could, process these people quickly. Like Stephanie said, we want to know who's coming into our country. We actually have holding facilities where we could hold them until they process, if it was going to be, a week or something. But you can't hold these people for 6 years. And new people coming, it just gets to be too big. So the problem is we need to take care of our business. And this law or the Senate bill that was bipartisan was going to put a lot more money into judges and courts, and where we could find out who are these people coming across, verify their story. If they have a valid story, welcome them as Americans, get them on their way to being productive citizens. If their situation doesn't merit asylum, then I'm sorry, you have to go back. And instead right now, everyone is just being released because they're all waiting on a court date at some future time. And that's on us.
Hmm. Would you have a solution to any issues that's going down over there? Or I know a lot of people, you said there's a 6-year backlog. Do you think we need to put more resources into getting people in? Or would you say working with Mexico to have them wait there before they come in?
There's a lot that could be done. Central America has a lot of countries along the way that these people have to go through. And we can work with Mexico. We can work with a lot of the other countries and say, how would you like to keep some of these people here for quite some time, or maybe not even let them into your country, enforce your border a little more. That might be one way to do it if you felt the solution is just choking off the supply. I know if it was harder to come up, fewer people maybe would, just on the how hard it is scale. But definitely having more people being processed through the system would help us. There's other things we could do. I don't know all the answers, and I don't want to be cruel to anyone. I don't want to say, all new immigrants need to settle northern Alaska first, or something like that. That might not be fun. But the real thing is we need to treat these people humanely, but we also need to, like Stephanie said, we need to know who these people are, and we need to manage the numbers.
I agree. Sebastian, what do you have to say?
Oh, thanks. I think everything was excellent, well said. Both of y'all on the immigration component, and to cover it a little bit, I think another idea that we could do as well is invest in, and I know you already mentioned it a little bit, Ernest, is investing in these South American countries that are destabilized, so we can deter immigration. I know Mexico is like I said, they have their own issues with the cartels, and they would be more than happy to work with the U.S. if we showed some sort of bipartisan, or not bipartisan, but effort on our part as a country, instead of bickering back and forth and having a Congress that can't even function, because that's another thing that we have, is a Congress that is an embarrassment to the nation, because all of our adversaries are watching. I mean, we see what Congress is doing, they're seeing it as well. And they see how the U.S. is dysfunctional. Like, we can't even get our affairs in order, which is why countries are starting to go to war with each other, because the U.S. does not hold the position that it did prior. And now there's no incentive, there's no deterrence in that aspect. And so immigration is the same thing. They see that that there's not much enforcement. And so people are coming in. And so I think we need to, like Stephanie said, we need to know who's coming into our country. We need to upgrade our infrastructure to be able to address those that have asylum, that are claiming asylum, that are genuine, have those processed within 90 days or less. There absolutely needs to be more funding to not only the Border Patrol, to the the entire border security component to it, but also the court systems that process these asylum claims or process these immigration visas for work, depending on the situation, because it does vary by individual. And so I there's a lot of opportunity to grow, and our country doesn't have all the answers. Mexico can help us. We could go to the countries where these people are leaving and work with their governments, try to see where we can find common ground to kind of fix this, because it's also dangerous of the travel that these people, most of them don't even make it. They die trying to get to this country. Imagine the necessity that one has to go through, that you would rather expose your family, your children, or yourself to harm's way for something not even guaranteed to try to cross into a country. That's that's a clear necessity, and one that most of us won't understand, because we were fortunate enough and blessed to be born in the U.S. where we have some freedoms. And sometimes, as somebody who has served, I know it's something that has been told to me. Most of us take our freedoms for granted. We don't realize the true cost of the freedom that we have here in this country, compared to other countries that are destabilized, that have crime syndicates that control them, or their governments are, like China or North Korea, Russia. It could be, obviously it could be far worse, but I think that's genuinely an issue, and that's why people don't really relate to the immigrants, and they just see them as a problem coming into this country when they're not. They don't commit crimes. The majority aren't here to do that. They're here to contribute, do their job, help boost our economy. And so, like I said, there's various ways to do this, and I know Ernest said it as well. I mean, I don't as well have all the answers, but getting into Congress, we will be able to find the resources and those with the individuals that do. I mean, I don't know how to. I could write a bill, but I'm not a lawyer, so obviously it's not going to be written in law, law form. So we get people that are lawyers, and we have them write our ideas and draft it.
Uh-oh, we lost Sebastian for a second. Okay, there you go.
I think he has the AT&T internet.
Oh, we can't hear you, Sebastian, and you had some great points there. Are you on mute? No. We can't hear you. Okay. Well, you know what, Calvin, thank you for the questions. I think that each candidate said a lot, and the viewers will be able to know who you are and what you stand for. And I believe that one of the biggest things besides women health is securing the border. And that's one of the main issues that a lot of people on the other side are questioning. What are we going to do for for the border in order for them to come and vote for us? You know, I feel like both sides, we need to come together, because at the end of the day, like Sebastian said, there are other people that are outside our country that are looking at us and seeing how we handle things. And we do need to make sure that we try to work together as a country and unite, because that's why we call United States, right? So we need to unite and try to fix some of these problems before it even gets worse. Maybe we need to put pods out in certain areas, work with Mexico and Venezuela, and have pods or something, or a holding spot for them to come in and have their government as well to work on, filtering these people through, because at the end of the day, we want people to feel safe.
I'd like to say one thing on immigration. Like Sebastian said, we may not have all the specific answers, but what are we going to do about the border and immigration? We're going to do something. We're going to do something. Right now, the Congress in Washington is doing nothing. They came up with a good compromise. We could have put that in place. That may not have been the 100% solution, but it might have started getting us there. And then we might have learned something and said, okay, we need to change it again. But right now, we don't have a budget. We don't have funding for Ukraine. We're barely getting appropriation bills done just before the government goes bankrupt. So if we get into Congress, we will do something, and then we'll learn from it and make the right thing happen. I think that's the biggest picture. Instead of not enough something happening.
I'm back, guys. I don't know what I missed. I'm sorry. I don't know. I disconnected and I had to log back in. I was having Wi-Fi issues. So I actually disconnected from Wi-Fi completely.
That's okay. Sebastian, you was on a roll. I was like all ears listening to you.
And you know what's
You
sad
want
is
to wrap it up for us?
I don't even remember where I was. I think I really honestly, I think I something about getting lawyers. I think that's where I was. So I'm gonna just try
That's
to
okay. We
continue from
covered
there.
for you though.
Okay,
We covered for you.
even better. Well, just we'll get the right people with the experience, to advise us in order for us to make these decisions, properly. We have to go to the border, talk to the experts, see what resources they need, because I mean, we could write bills all day long, and if they're not addressing the real true problems, because we're up on the top of in Washington D.C., we obviously don't work the border, we don't have that knowledge, so we can't really understand unless we put ourselves in their shoes and get the expert advice. And that's what I think we should be doing is working with and alongside the CB Border Patrol, and get that experience, get immigration lawyers involved to help draft bills that actually work to help speed up the process, while it's still vetting the individuals. And just going, because I did catch the end of, I heard the last portion of what Ernest was saying. If we get to Congress, we need to start working with each other, and then that's something that I think, that's something I advocate for 100%. And I don't mind being the person to go and challenge the status quo on both sides, because it's both Democrats and Republicans that just want to bicker at each other, walk away, and not really get anything done for the American people. I think I don't know if they get elected and they go into Congress and it's like maybe 3 months in, they're like, oh, I forget that I work for the people. I don't know, but it seems that way. It's I personally hate liars. That's something my dad hated. He always told me politicians are all liars and corrupt. And funny enough, it's been true. And I think most Americans are tired of it. Well, I don't see most. I think everyone's tired of it. A lot of
most people.
Yeah, and a lot of people aren't voting anymore because they don't think their vote matters when it does. It absolutely does. It's more powerful for you not to vote because you're reducing the amount required for like Republicans to win. I mean, I know right now Tarrant County is down 40% from 2020 in Democrat voting, which is a massive amount of people that just didn't show up. And this isn't just because they didn't want to. A lot of the reasons sometimes they don't have the time because they're working either 1 or 2 jobs. They have children. They got to sit in an hour and a half traffic like I do. And when you get home, then the polling location is like 30 minutes away and you just don't want to deal with that. You know what I mean? Like, I understand that because I live it every day. I live in Saginaw and everything's under construction. Everything's a school zone and it takes an hour to get here from Westlake. So the traffic here, we need public infrastructure for that. And so, but going back, we need to work with the people in Congress. We need to challenge them to remember why they're there. We are elected to the position to represent the people. And I think as individuals, like for me, I know I want to have quarterly meetings every quarter to make sure I know, what are the concerns of not only the district, but the concerns my constituents would have on the nation. Hey, what, this is going to be something we're going to be voting on, or, let's talk about the national debt. Let's, I need to know so I can vote properly and be informed as a representative to truly represent everyone in Congress, whether you're Republican, Democrat, independent, or none of the above. You should have some sort of a way to communicate with your representative that isn't out of touch with the people. I'm not talking about an email, because I mean, an email is easy to write, and you don't know if that's actually them writing it. I'm talking about, being there in person, talking to you, whether we do it at a coffee place or whatever we can, wherever we hold the quarterly meetings, somewhere that's, genuine, because we're people too, we're people. And I think that's what we need to start focusing on. People need to start voting in for working class, regular people, not rich, out of touch, bought out politicians that represent their donors. That's we've had too much of that. And so, I've been self-funded, been spending my own money. Thankfully, I've been trying to be conservative about it, and I've stayed under $5,000, so I haven't had to report it. But I'm like this close to getting over it, so I'm going to have to report here soon. But I'm thankful for donations that I do get. But I mean, I have no problem spending my own money. I've been working 2 jobs to be able to do that. From my small business and then working in the finance industry, which I just started in December. So I'm also going through all that, training and licensing, which let me tell you, the finance industry is heavily regulated for good reason. But yeah, I'll just wrap it up there. So yeah, I appreciate it. I hope I didn't take too much of y'all's time with that.
No, no, no. You were wonderful. Okay, guys. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to give me your elevator speech. Ernest, go for it.
Okay. Well, so I'm Ernest Lineberger, candidate for the United States House of Representatives for Texas Congressional District 26. I am a retired United States naval officer, and I have a bachelor's of science in aerospace engineering and 2 master's of science degrees. And I've worked in the Dallas area for the last 28 years for Texas Instruments, manufacturing semiconductors. And I just want to go to Washington to, number 1, get us back in business. Number 2, protect people's rights of all ranges of rights. And number 3, to work on the economic balance, help people who are struggling at the lower end of the scale and get the people at the top end of the scale to work harder on making things more fair. Was that 2 minutes?
Got it. All right, Sebastian.
Well, my name is Sebastian Gehrig. I am running for the CD12, so Texas 12th Congressional District for the U.S. House of Representatives. And I'm a veteran. I was in the Air Force. I was an aerospace mechanic. I worked on F-16s, and I got my degree at Penn State World Campus in finance. Nonetheless, that's why I'm in the finance industry, trying to utilize that degree. I'm a small business owner. My mom is from Mexico. She built when she immigrated to this country, she's been a self-entrepreneur. And so she built her own business. And so I've continued the family business now that she has retired and has returned actually to Mexico just recently. So I definitely want to work to get to Congress to represent the people. I think that's the biggest thing we have out of touch politicians that don't understand what it's like to be a small business owner that gets taxed by everything, because everybody wants a little bit of the pie. And also working another job to sustain, because in today's day with the livable wage, we don't have it. So even with a degree, I don't get paid nearly as enough that I have to get both. Even with the small business, I still have to have another job full time. So I think having somebody with that experience, somebody that's a veteran, can definitely bring a lot to Congress.
All right. And my name is, of course, Stephanie Draper, and I'm running for Senate District 12. I'm a wife of a retired veteran, so I definitely understand the needs of the veterans. And I'm also a mother of 3, and one of my children is active military. So it's very important for us to make sure that we take care of our active duty members as well. I am for health care for all. I want to make sure that we do the right thing by our people in Texas and make sure that they have the health care clinics that they need. The rural areas need broadband. And I want to make sure that we fund our public school. So those are my big topics right there that I want to make sure that we get taken care of in the state. Now, I'm not going to Washington. I'm in the state of Texas, and I want to make sure Texas is great. So don't forget, if you're looking for me, look for Draper for I'm so sorry. Draper for Texas.com. So now I want to thank you guys for coming on here and getting your views. These people out here, they're gonna know who you are, and they know that they have choices. So thank y'all, and Good luck tomorrow, and I know I'll see y'all somewhere out there on the pole somewhere.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
Stephanie. Appreciate
Thank
you
you,
having
Stephanie.
us on.
Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
Thanks,
Y'all have a
Calvin.
good
Good
night. Thank you,
questions.
Calvin.
Of course, anytime.
Y'all have a
All
good
right.
good night, evening. Bye, Stephanie. Thank you.
Bye. Y'all have a good night.
You too.
Night.